05s, you've probably heard it since you were a kid, right? Swallow a watermelon seed and poof, a tree sprouts in your belly. Or maybe if you're really unlucky, it's kidney stones that'll pop up. 510s, I'm your host, and for ages, I've been diving deep into all those health headlines that just make us freak out. This is the stuff those super alarmist articles never tell you. 1015s, so over the next 24 minutes or so, we're gonna totally expose the truth about swallowing seeds, especially that infamous watermelon seed, and figure out what really goes down inside your body. 1530s, just a heads up, this video is purely for information and isn't medical advice, okay? Always chat with a qualified healthcare pro if you've got any health worries or before you decide anything about your health or treatment. 3045s, this whole idea that swallowing a watermelon seed could actually cause a huge medical problem like, say, kidney stones, it's a stubborn one. But let's actually look at what medical science has to say about it. Kidney stones themselves are pretty complex things. They usually happen when your pee has way too many substances that can form crystals like calcium and oxalate, and there just isn't enough fluid to dilute them. Your diet does play a part, sure, but nowhere in the actual medical understanding of how kidney stones form will you find swallowing a common seed listed as a cause. 4560s, seriously, just think about it for a second. We munch on tons of tiny seeds every single day in all sorts of fruits and veggies. Berries, tomatoes, cucumbers, they're all absolutely loaded with them. So are we all just walking around with a ticking time bomb chilling in our digestive tracts? That common belief about watermelon seeds causing kidney stones, it's just not backed up by any trustworthy medical outfits. 6075s, this myth probably kicked off because people misunderstood how our bodies actually handle food, especially seeds. For ages, we've been taught to be scared of stuff that's hard to digest. But just because something is indigestible doesn't automatically mean it's automatically dangerous. 7590s, the watermelon seed specifically, is a really interesting case study, you know. Far from being some kind of health hazard, when you look into what it's made of nutritionally, you find something totally different. These seeds are actually packed with protein, fats, and important micronutrients. There's absolutely zero scientific mention of them causing any bad health effects like kidney stones just from being swallowed. 91 so, what really goes on when you swallow a whole watermelon seed? The vast majority of health publications, after being checked by medical pros, say it's generally no big deal. They're basically built to just cruise through your digestive system mostly untouched, kind of like other small seeds, and usually they don't cause any problems at all. 105-120s, and this isn't some weird out there idea. Reputable sources totally confirm that your digestive system is more than capable of handling them. Whether you chew them up or just swallow them whole, your system usually just deals with them without any fuss. 121-35, so the actual danger here isn't the seed itself, but all the bad information floating around about it. These kinds of fears that aren't based on anything can lead to stress you don't need, and even worse, making bad choices about your health. Imagine skipping out on a super healthy food like watermelon because you're irrationally scared of it. 135-150s, this isn't just about watermelon seeds either. It's about a much bigger pattern of health myths that spread like wildfire, often pushed by stories and fear instead of actual evidence. We're just bombarded with so much information these days, and honestly it's getting harder than ever to tell what's real and what's fake. 151-65s, the stuff you believe can actually have pretty big consequences. Thinking a food or health myth is true can totally mess with your diet, how you live your life, and your overall well-being. It might make you look for unproven treatments or skip out on stuff that's actually good for you. 165-180s, so let's just cut through all the confusion. What's the absolute 100% truth about swallowing watermelon seeds? Are they some hidden danger or just another part of a nutritious fruit that people misunderstand? 181-95s, the answer is way simpler and honestly way less scary than you've probably been told. Your digestive system usually just handles them without any issues. Plus, they've actually got valuable nutrients like magnesium, iron, and zinc in them. 195-210s, that fear of them causing blockages or stones. For most people, it's just not a real concern. Your digestive tract is a seriously tough system, built to handle all sorts of stuff. Seeds are a normal part of so many foods we eat. 210-225s, when we talk about health, especially something as basic as how our bodies digest things and potential problems like kidney stones, we really need to count on trustworthy sources. We have to get what the science says, not just listen to the scary stories. 225-240s, the nutritional makeup of watermelon seeds themselves is actually pretty remarkable. They're a solid source of protein and good fats, plus minerals like magnesium, iron, and zinc. Instead of being a problem, they might even offer nutritional perks if you decide to eat them on purpose. 240-255s. The main thing is understanding what actually counts as a real health risk. Kidney stones are tied to specific physical conditions and eating habits involving things like calcium and oxalate, not just accidentally swallowing seeds. Medical places that deal with kidney issues don't list eating seeds as a reason for them. 255-270s. This myth just keeps sticking around because it's easy to remember and plays on our basic fears that our own bodies might betray us. A whole tree growing inside you? Yeah, it's a vivid picture, but it's totally false. 272-85s, but the actual story is much more normal and honestly much more comforting. Your digestive system usually processes them or just passes them along without causing any harm. Think of them like little quiet passengers just going along for the ride through your gut. 285-300s, so the next time someone warns you about swallowing watermelon seeds, you can drop some knowledge on them. It's not about avoiding the seeds, it's about knowing what's a real health issue and sticking to information that's actually based on facts. 300-315s, we're gonna dig even deeper into the science behind digestion and explore some other common food myths that have caused a lot of needless worry over the years. 315-330s, really understanding our bodies and what we put into them is super important for making smart choices about our health, and it all starts with busting the myths that are holding us back. 333-45s, that fear of swallowing a watermelon seed. That's definitely one myth that needs to be put to bed for good. Let's just embrace the facts and move forward with a much clearer picture. Upbeat, curious music kicks in. We see quick shots of folks digging into watermelon, spitting out seeds, and then a fun little animation of a seed dropping into a tummy. You remember that old warning from when you were a kid, right? Don't swallow those watermelon seeds or a watermelon will grow in your belly. It's a total classic, kinda like don't cross your eyes or they'll get stuck that way. Every single one of us has heard it, and maybe, just maybe, we fretted about it for a split second. Text pops up, the great seed scare. But what if I told you that old warning is about as scientifically legit as a chocolate teapot? Today, we're going to dig into the real science behind what actually happens when you accidentally gobble down a watermelon seed. And, spoiler alert, it's way less dramatic than you've probably been led to believe. Animation of the human digestive system. Think esophagus, stomach, intestines. So let's kick things off by looking at the incredible journey food takes once it decides to enter our bodies. Our digestive system, it's seriously a marvel of biological design, built to break down whatever we eat into useful nutrients and then, efficiently get rid of the rest. It's a pretty complex, multi-step process. We zoom into the stomach, showing churning liquid and bits of food. First stop is the stomach. This muscular organ basically acts like a super powerful blender, mixing up food with really strong acids and enzymes. Its main job here is to break down proteins and zap any harmful bacteria. Think of it as the initial demolition phase, The animation moves over to the small intestine, showing the villi soaking up nutrients. Next up, food makes its way into the small intestine. This is really where the magic of absorption happens. It's a long, coiled-up tube covered in these tiny, finger-like things called villi, which massively increase the surface area for grabbing vitamins, minerals, proteins, fats, and carbs. Animation shows material that can't be digested moving into the large intestine. Anything that can't be broken down or absorbed, like certain kinds of fiber, then heads over to the large intestine. This is where water gets absorbed and the leftover waste material gets formed into stool, all prepped for its final departure. Music shifts a bit, becoming more informative. Alright, now let's talk seeds, specifically those little black watermelon seeds. What makes them so seedy? Well, they've got this tough outer shell, often called the hull or pericarp. This shell is mostly made of cellulose, which is just a type of fiber. A close-up animation of a seed's tough outer shell. Our digestive system is pretty darn good at breaking down a lot of things, but cellulose? That's a different story. Humans just don't have the right enzymes to fully digest cellulose. That's precisely why fiber in general just kinda passes through our system mostly unchanged. Animation shows seeds being pushed through the intestines along with other waste. For most seeds you swallow, especially if you swallow them whole without really chewing them up, that tough outer shell acts like a protective shield. Stomach acid might soften it up a little, but it's highly unlikely to break it down completely. They'll probably just travel through your digestive tract, kinda like other indigestible fibers, and eventually get expelled. Text appears, fiber, the undigestible hero. So the whole idea of a watermelon actually growing inside you, biologically, it's just not gonna happen. For a seed to sprout, it needs super specific conditions, the right temperature, enough moisture, and sunlight. Your stomach is a hot, acidic, dark place, basically the exact opposite of a seed's ideal nursery. The digestive juices would totally destroy any chance of germination way before it could ever reach some hypothetical soil in your gut. A playful animation of a seed looking confused inside a stomach, then getting flushed out. The digestive system is totally equipped to handle foreign objects, especially small, smooth ones like seeds, without any issues. Medical pros and health publications back this up consistently. Swallowing watermelon seeds whole is generally harmless. They'll just pass through your digestive system undigested, much like other seeds, and won't cause any problems whatsoever. Source: Healthline. Transition to visuals of different kinds of seeds, then to a close-up of watermelon seeds. But hey, let's not completely dismiss watermelon seeds. While that outer shell might resist digestion, the inside of the seed is a whole different story. Watermelon seeds are actually pretty darn nutritious. Focus shifts to the internal parts of a watermelon seed. When we talk about what's inside watermelon seeds, particularly the black ones, we're looking at a real powerhouse of nutrients. They are loaded with protein, healthy fats, and essential micronutrients. Source: NCBI. Graphics pop up with icons for protein, fats, magnesium, iron, zinc. These seeds pack a significant punch of magnesium, iron, and zinc. Magnesium is super important for muscle and nerve function, keeping blood sugar in check and regulating blood pressure. Iron is vital for carrying oxygen in your blood, and zinc plays a big role in immune function and how cells grow. Plus, they've got beneficial fatty acids too. Music becomes a little more serious but still informative. This nutritional makeup is why some people actually choose to eat watermelon seeds, often after roasting them. Roasting makes them taste better and easier to digest. Chewing them really well breaks down that hull, giving you access to the nutrient-packed kernel inside. Quick cuts of roasted watermelon seeds being eaten. But still, the big question is, what about swallowing them accidentally and whole? Does all this dense nutrition actually pose any kind of risk? The overwhelming response from medical organizations is a clear and resounding no. Text appears: medical consensus, harmless. WebMD points out that watermelon seeds are totally safe to eat and even good for you. The digestive system usually handles them without a hitch, whether you chew them or swallow them whole. Source: WebMD. They do have beneficial compounds, but them passing through your system typically doesn't lead to any negative health effects. Animation showing the urinary system with a focus on the kidneys. Now let's tackle a related worry that sometimes pops up: kidney stones. Some folks fret that swallowing seeds might somehow lead to kidney stones forming. This is a really common misunderstanding. Close-up on kidney stones, showing their crystalline structure. Kidney stones usually form when your urine has more substances that form crystals, like calcium oxalate and uric acid, than the fluid in your urine can actually dilute. Source: Mayo Clinic. Your diet does play a part in managing the risks for kidney stones, but swallowing seeds, including watermelon seeds, isn't listed as a cause. Animation showing normal kidney function. The compounds found within watermelon seeds, while nutritious, don't inherently cause kidney stones to form when you just incidentally ingest them. The body is really good at processing and getting rid of these substances. The conditions needed for stones to form are complex and involve many factors, and simply swallowing a few seeds doesn't tip the scales. Split screen. One side shows someone happily eating watermelon, the other shows a simplified animation of the digestive tract smoothly processing seeds. So to sum it all up, your digestive system is a tough and efficient machine. The hard outer shell of a watermelon seed is mostly just indigestible fiber designed to pass right through. The stuff inside is nutritious but doesn't pose any danger when swallowed whole. And the whole plant growing inside you thing, that's pure myth. Music swells a bit, returning to a curious and upbeat vibe. So the next time you're enjoying a juicy slice of watermelon and accidentally swallow a seed or two, you can totally chill out. Your body knows exactly what to do with it. It really just goes to show how incredibly resilient and efficient our digestive system is. Final shot: someone smiling, enjoying watermelon, not worried about the seeds at all. No trees popping up, no mysterious blockages, just a smooth, uneventful trip through your system. The mystery of the swallowed watermelon seed, it's officially been demystified. But what are the actual good things about watermelon seeds if you do decide to eat them? We'll get into that next. For ages, a little whisper has gone around in kitchens and on playgrounds. If you swallow a watermelon seed, a whole watermelon will just start growing inside you. Or maybe even worse, that those little black specks are a direct express ticket to some seriously painful kidney stones. It's a myth that's just so deeply ingrained, so darn persistent, that I bet most of us have probably passed that same warning along to kid ourselves. But what if I told you that warning you've been giving isn't just off base, but totally, completely, 100% false? Here's the real deal. There is absolutely zero, zilch, not a scientific proof out there connecting eating watermelon seeds to ever getting kidney stones. Just let that really sink in for a second. All those years of being scared, meticulously picking out every single seed, of telling everyone else to do the same, all based on, well, nothing at all. The actual danger isn't in the seeds. Nope, it's really in the stories we've all been told for so long. So what really causes kidney stones then? It's a bit of a complicated situation, sure, but the main reasons why they happen are pretty well documented. Not drinking enough fluids, dehydration, is a huge factor. When your body just doesn't have enough liquid, the stuff that makes up stones, like calcium, oxalate, and uric acid, gets way more concentrated in your urine. This makes it much easier for them to clump together and crystallize. Source: Mayo Clinic. Just picture trying to dissolve a bunch of sugar in just a tiny bit of water compared to a big glass. Makes sense, right? Eating way too much sodium also plays a pretty big part. When you have excess sodium in your system, it can actually bump up the amount of calcium that ends up in your urine. And again, that just helps stones form. Source: Mayo Clinic. And yeah, oxalates are definitely part of some kidney stones, but they're in tons of everyday foods we eat. It's usually the really high amounts, along with other things going on, that can cause issues, not the tiny little bits you might get from something like a watermelon seed. Plus, some folks are just genetically more likely to get kidney stones. Source: Mayo Clinic. These are the real things to worry about, not the innocent little seeds from a yummy summer fruit. Okay, so let's switch gears here for a sec. We're gonna move on from busting a myth to actually celebrating something that's packed with nutrients. Because those watermelon seeds you've been kinda avoiding, turns out they're actually loaded with some pretty amazing benefits for you. So far from being these hard to digest things that'll mess you up, watermelon seeds are actually a fantastic source of important nutrients. They've got some seriously impressive levels of protein, which is super important for repairing and building muscle. They also contain healthy fats like monounsaturated and polyunsaturated ones, which are really key for keeping your heart healthy and reducing inflammation in your body. Source: National Center for Biotechnology Information. But the good stuff doesn't even stop there. These little seeds are absolutely loaded with micronutrients that our bodies actually need and crave. They're an awesome source of magnesium, a mineral that's involved in literally over 300 different chemical reactions happening in your body, everything from making energy to making sure your muscles work right. Source: WebMD. And you get a good amount of zinc too, which is important for your immune system and helps wounds heal up. Plus iron, which is absolutely essential for carrying oxygen all through your blood. Source: WebMD. Just think about this for a second. Even a small handful of watermelon seeds can make a pretty big difference in hitting your daily targets for these vital nutrients. Source: National Center for Biotechnology Information. And get this, they're a complete protein source. That means they have all 9 essential amino acids, the ones your body can't make on its own. Source: Healthline. This isn't just some random guess. Nutritional science backs this up. The actual makeup of these seeds shows they're a food that, instead of causing problems, actively helps your body do its thing. Source: National Center for Biotechnology Information. So how can you actually use this new info? How do you start adding these little nutritional powerhouses into your diet? Well, the really great news is it's actually super easy. You don't even have to go out of your way to find some special products. The absolute easiest way: just eat the darn watermelon. Now, swallowing them whole is totally fine and they'll just pass right through you without causing any harm. Source: Healthline. But if you chew them up a bit, you'll actually get more of their nutrients out. If you want to be a little more intentional about it, try roasting them up. Just spread a single layer of clean watermelon seeds on a baking sheet and pop them in the oven at around 300 degrees F, 150 degrees C for about 10 to 15 minutes, or until they start to pop open a little. You can add a pinch of salt or whatever spices you like to make a really tasty, crunchy snack. Or you could totally blend them into your smoothies. Their flavor is pretty mild and slightly nutty, so it can easily be hidden by fruits and other stuff in there. You can also toss them on salads, sprinkle M over yogurt, or even mix them into your favorite baked goods. The main thing is to be deliberate. Instead of being scared of them, why not just embrace them? This whole idea about watermelon seeds causing kidney stones has been hanging around for way too long, stopping people from enjoying a food that's both healthy and totally harmless. It's definitely time to ditch that old wives' tale and face the facts. These seeds are not some kind of threat, but actually a treasure chest full of health benefits just waiting for you to discover them. Alright, so that whole watermelon seed thing, totally busted. Turns out popping those little guys isn't some big scary deal that's gonna sprout a garden in your gut or magically give you kidney stones. Now the real story is way simpler and honestly kinda cool. These seeds are just fine, and get this, they're actually good for you. Seriously, they've got protein, healthy fats, magnesium, iron, and zinc. Pretty neat nutritional package if you decide to chow down on them. Source: WebMD, NCBI. They just cruise on through your system like most other seeds, no harm done. Source: Healthline. And that gets me thinking, how many health facts we hear are just, well, myths that everyone believes. We're constantly getting hit with advice, and most of the time nobody stops to ask where it even came from or if it's legit. Kidney stones, for instance, they're tricky things, all about stuff like calcium and oxalate balance in your pee, not about accidentally swallowing a few seeds. Source: Mayo Clinic. The real issue isn't the seeds, it's just nodding along to stuff without actually thinking it through. Your health, that's on you. It means you gotta go find the good info, the stuff backed by science, and be a little wary of the super dramatic claims. Don't let old wives' tales or just plain wrong ideas steer your decisions. Use that brain of yours. Ask why. Before you just accept something as gospel, take a sec to check out who's saying it and what the actual science shows. We really want you to feel good about figuring out all this health info out there. So here's what we're asking: hit that share button. Help us get the real word out and shut down this common myth for good. And down in the comments, spill the beans. What other health myths have you run into that you want us to dig into? Let's build a crew that actually values knowing stuff and thinking for ourselves. Your own curiosity, that's the first step to living